Once upon a time, in a quiet village by the edge of a wide river, people often spoke of miseries that lived among them. The river was deep, shining like glass in the sun and carrying secrets in its waves. Children fetched water there, women washed clothes, and fishermen cast their nets. But elders warned that the river was also a pathway between worlds, where spirits sometimes come to visit the land of the living. In that village lived a woman named Adanne. She had long hoped for children. For years, her womb was empty and her heart heavy. Every prayer, every offering, every herb from the forest was done with one desire in her soul, to carry life in her arms. One day, her body grew heavy, and soon her belly swelled with life. Joy returned to her face. Her song floated into the night air as she pounded yam and roasted corn. When her time came, she gave birth to not one child, but to 2 girls. The villagers clapped their hands and related in joy. Twins were seen as a special gift from the spirit world, a double blessing. They were named Chisom and Chidinma. Their faces looked alike, but their eyes told different stories. From the very beginning, the twins were unusual. They laughed together when no one else laughed. They cried at the same time, even when they were apart. Sometimes they sat side by side under the other tree, whispering in words no one else could understand. Their bond was deep, like a rope tied with many knots. The mother adored them. She tied them to her back one at a time and sang. She dressed them in matching wrappers. She braided their hair in identical patterns. Wherever she went, people stopped to smile and bless her. She felt her long years of waiting were now repaid in double measure. But soon, shadows began to fall over the joy. The twins often fell ill suddenly. One day they would run about the compound chasing chickens and laughing. The next day one of them would grow weak, burning with fever. Just as suddenly the fever would vanish, leaving her laughing again. The villagers began to whisper. Some said the twins were Obanje, spirit children who had come from the river world. Others said they belonged to the cult of the water, tied by an invisible cord to the spirits under the waves. Adanne's heart shook at these words, but she refused to believe. She prayed harder. She offered food to the ancestors. She begged the gods to protect her children. The twins grew older. Their games became stranger. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, they wake up and walked out of the hut holding hands. Their mother would rise in fear and follow them quietly. She saw them walk to the edge of the river, stand there in silence, and then return as if nothing had happened. When she asked them about it in the morning, they only smiled and played with the sand, as if they remembered nothing. One evening, when the moon was round and white, the twins disappeared. The mother searched everywhere, calling their names. She went to the neighbors, to the market square, to the stream. At last, she ran to the river. There she saw them standing at the bank, their reflections bright on the water. Their faces looked calm, too calm, as if they were listening to the voices carried by the waves. Before she could reach them, the twins stepped forward. One foot touched the water, then another. The mother screamed, rushing to pull them back. She caught their small hands, just as the river began to ripple violently, as though it wanted to swallow them. With all her strength, she dragged them back to the shore. The twins wept, their cries strange, as though they were torn between 2 walls. That night, the elders gathered. They said the twins were not ordinary children. They carried the mark of Obanje. They warned that unless their tie to the spirit world was broken, they would one day return to the river and never come back. The mother shook her head, refusing to hear it. She clung to her daughters, holding them as if her arms alone could keep them alive. But the signs grew stronger. Chisom, the elder twins, grew sick one morning. She lay still, her eyes dull, her breath shallow. The villagers said that the river spirits were calling her home. Adanne wept, begging for her child's life. By evening, Chisom died. The cry that tore from Adanne's throat pierced the sky. She wrapped her daughter in white cloth and buried her by the edge of the compound. Her heart felt as though it had been split into 2. Yet even as she mourned, something strange happened. At night, Chidinma, the surviving twin, woke up and spoke in her sister's voice. She laughed in her sister's laugh. She played games that only 2 of them had known. Sometimes, when Adanne looked at her, she felt as though both children were still inside the same body. The villagers grew afraid. They said Chisom had not only gone. They said that she had only returned to the spirit world and now spoke through her twin. Some warned the mother to be careful, that spirit children often play tricks on the living. As months passed, Chidinma grew weaker. She often sat by the river, her eyes distant, her fingers drawing patterns in the sand. She whispered words her mother could not understand. At night, Adanne dreamed of the twins standing together at the river, calling her to follow them. Fear filled her heart. She knew she could not bear to lose her second child. She went to the oldest woman in the village, a woman whose hair was white like cotton. The old woman listened and nodded slowly. She told Adane that Ogbanje children always carried a secret tie, an Iyowa, hidden in the earth or in the river. Until it was found and broken, the spirit children would never stay. The mother begged for help. The old woman prepared rituals, calling on the ancestors to reveal their hiding place. She gave Adane a chalk mark to draw on Chidima's forehead, saying it to force the spirit to speak. That night, when the mark was made, Chidima cried in her sister's voice. She pointed a trembling hand towards the river. Her words came out broken but clear enough. The Iwa was hidden in the sand beneath the other latrine near the river. At dawn, the villagers gathered. They dug under the tree, their hands cutting through roots and stones. At last, they pulled out a small clay pot, tied with strings and shells. Inside were tiny beads, cowries, and a piece of cloth that looked like it had been soaked in the river. The old woman declared it was the Iyowa. She smashed it with a stone, chanting words that carried into the wind. Smoke rose and the air seemed lighter, as if an invisible chain had been broken. From that day, Chidima grew stronger. Her laughter returned, clear and bright. She no longer walked to the river in the night. She no longer spoke in her sister's voice. She ran with the other children, carrying life in her steps. Years passed, and Chidima grew into a woman. She carried her mother's beauty and her own quiet strength. She remembered her twin, but no longer felt pulled towards the river. Her life stayed rooted in the land of the living. The villagers often told her story under the moonlight. They spoke of the twins who walked between two worlds, of the sister who returned to the river, and of the one who remained to live. They said it was proof that Ogbanje could be overcome, that love, patience, and the breaking of the hidden ties could turn sorrow into survival. And whenever Chidima walked by the river, she looked into the water and saw her reflection. Sometimes, just beside it, she imagined she saw her sister's face too, smiling gently, as though watching over from the spirit world.